I'm Patrick Stiegman. I'm Vice President and Editor-in-Chief of ESPN.com, ESPN Digital Media in Connecticut. A proud 1988, forever ago, graduate of UW-Oshkosh. I came here, really, I was just telling Harvey beforehand, I was born and raised in Madison. I had a choice of, I always thought I'd just go to Wisconsin and Madison. And at the time, I knew I was going to go into journalism. There was no question about it. I'd been active in high school in journalism and the editor of the high school paper, et cetera. And the only accredited journalism school in this UW system at the time, I don't know if it was the only one, but it certainly was the best one, was UW-Oshkosh. And it was a no-brainer for me. I said, I need to go where I'm going to get the best education in this space, because I knew what my career was going to be. I didn't know where I was going to end up. I didn't know what level I'd achieve, if I'd achieve any level, but I knew journalism was my calling. It was a place I was going to work and thrive, hopefully thrive, and be passionate about. And my time here was incredible. The training, as I like to say, and using the tortured sports metaphor, the blocking and tackling of my career all started here in reporting and editing. It was all pre-internet. That wasn't pre-computer completely, but I wrote a lot of papers on old typewriters, if you can believe that. I got to that point in my life where I've spent as much time out of college as I did before college, which is a scary, scary tipping point. But it's the technology that I've been able to encounter over the course of my career has been transcendent in terms of digital delivery of content, and it's certainly been transcendent for opportunity for me in my career. But at the end of the day, it's still about storytelling. It's still about writing, it's still about reporting, it's still about editing, it's still about telling the world something they didn't know, offering an informed perspective on the world they didn't know. And that's how I like to spend my day, and the roots of all that came from my days here in Oshkosh. And I can tell you that the combination of the opportunity here on campus, sports editor and managing editor of the AT, and many long nights down in I don't know where it's located now, it was down in the basement of Radford Hall at the time. And frankly, as much as anything, and I have to give credit to the faculty for being so understanding, because I spent as much of my time on campus here, off campus at the Northwestern. I'd cover an Amro and Winneconne High School football game on a Friday night, and then I'd cover the Packers for the Northwestern on Sunday. It was a pretty good gig for a sophomore in college, to be able to say that I had the opportunity to be a beat writer for the Packers. Now, admittedly, this was the Forrest Gregg, Linney, and Fonte Packers, which, a 4-win season was pretty exciting. So it wasn't exactly, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers era. But the opportunity, hands-on opportunity to be covering those teams and being in that environment and learning at the side of professionals and press boxes across this land was really incredible. And that did nothing but whet my appetite for wanting to do more of it. And I won't go through the entire TikTok of my career other than to say I didn't stay long in many places because I kept looking for the next opportunity. I'm not sure that's necessarily the advice I give everyone, because I do think you need to find the rhythm of what you want to do. But I spent, I think 7 weeks at the Northwestern full-time after I graduated, 6 weeks at the Wausau Daily Herald, and then went to Madison and went to the State Journal, my hometown, and had 4 terrific years at the State Journal. Then joined the Milwaukee Sentinel, then the Sentinel alone, covering Wisconsin sports out of the Madison Bureau. And then in 1995, it all changed. And that's when the Journal and the Sentinel merged into one newspaper, and also created this fledgling online service. It wasn't even on the internet. I wish I could say I started on the internet in 95. I can't, because we weren't on the internet. We were on an online computer database platform called Prodigy, which nobody in this room, well, maybe a couple of people in the back, aren't going to remember. But it was this transcendent idea of, my goodness, I could actually read content from other newspapers in my home without having to go to the library to find it, if you could find it. And this incredible way to expand storytelling across platforms and across markets and geographical boundaries. And I sort of rotated my years through at the JS. A really dynamic time. A sports editor, then managing editor, then editor, then VP and editor of Journal Interactive, running the entire online division for the Journal Sentinel and Journal Communications, the parent company, including TMJ Radio and Television out of Milwaukee, as well as a series of newspapers, radio and TV stations across the country. And in 2005, I got the opportunity to go out to ESPN. But I'll predate that just a second by saying part of the energy that goes into what you want to do with your career, my little humble advice, is really to pursue the dream and don't give up the dream. And if the dream isn't there, don't settle. And that sometimes means having to make difficult choices. So in the 3 years before I went to ESPN, actually 3 opportunities that I should have taken in retrospect. I'm glad I didn't, but I should have taken. One was actually at ESPN. I had an opportunity to go out to ESPN in Seattle, which was then ESPN Internet Ventures, and to be the editor of NFL.com. At the time, ESPN was managing the website for the NFL, and they needed someone to come and be the editor of that site. It was technically an ESPN job, but you were working on the NFL site. And, you know, I'm never going to be Woodward or Bernstein, but I had enough of that journalism calling in me to say, I don't know if I want to work for a league website. I understand this would be for ESPN, but can I really be truthful? Can I really be critical? Can we really be fair in our assessment of the NFL if I'm working for the NFL website? And so I turned it down. Thought for sure it would be the last time I'd ever have an opportunity to get a call from those 4 letters again. But I felt like I needed, internally, I had to know that I was going to love my job and feel comfortable with what I was doing every day. So next opportunity comes up, I get a chance to be the VP of Digital Interactive Storytelling for the Tribune Company and Tribune Interactive in Chicago. And I was thinking really strongly about taking the job. There was some question though whether it was actually going to be an editorial job or more of sort of a management side, administrative, marketing and ad sales type job. And nothing against marketing and ad sales, because God love them, it's given me a reason to have a job for the last 20 years. But I wasn't sure it was my skill set. I knew I wanted to be in storytelling. So I turned it down. And then I got an opportunity about a year after that to be the editor-in-chief of a then fledgling interactive company called Major League Baseball Advanced Media, MLBAM, which is essentially the internet division of Major League Baseball. At the time, they had taken all the team sites, which were independent sites, run by the teams themselves. The Yankees, the Brewers, the Red Sox, the Rangers, the Mariners, etc., all ran their own sites. And they were bringing them together, the aggregating under the leadership of Major League Baseball. And I got an opportunity to be the editor-in-chief, move out to Manhattan, and be the EIC of MLBAM. Again, same issue I had with the NFL.com a couple years earlier, is that I didn't know if I could actually comfortably every day go to work for a league. Even though the opportunity was tremendous, their commitment was that they were going to be as honest in their storytelling as they could be, and to their credit, they actually have done a great job of that. But at the time, I wasn't sure. So I turned it down. And I love my job in Milwaukee, but at some point I started to think, well, this is really where I'm going to end up. I'm turning down these opportunities, and you're only going to get so many opportunities. And lo and behold, literally 2 weeks after I turned down the MLBAM job, I got a call from the then editor-in-chief of ESPN.com, who I had met at a conference. He was new in his role. He needed somebody who had some internet experience. He said, what do you think about coming out to Bristol, Connecticut and being the executive editor for ESPN.com? That was one of those, okay, twist my arm moments. And, you know, 6.5 years later, I'm now the editor-in-chief, and really have found that dream job. It's the opportunity I never knew could have existed, certainly that I was ever going to have the ability to accomplish. But that lesson learned of making right choices, and you never know if they're the right choice, but going with your gut instinct, going with what in your heart you believe, how you want to spend your day every day, because if you're not happy and satisfied doing it, it doesn't matter the size of the paycheck. Ultimately, it's not going to be fulfilling, and you're ultimately going to burn out or be unsatisfied with your day. So I waited, found the right opportunity, and trust me, there's no other job in the United States that I would trade this one for right now. I've got the best job I possibly could imagine, and it all started right here in Oshkosh. So that's my little tale.